Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Tomfragale, and I'm a Microsoft Certified Trainer. I've been doing this for a long time as a trainer or as a consultant or as a programmer, and I'm available for private one-on-one sessions, private webinars, on-site trainings, and those kind of things. So you can find me online as well. So today we're going to talk about Outlook tips and tricks, and I'm going to show you many ways to be more productive in Microsoft Outlook. So these days we get so many emails. So a lot of the class will be about how to manage your emails, and then we'll also talk about the calendar part of Microsoft Outlook and other topics. So if I go to my next slide here, this will give you an idea of the topics that we're going to cover. So you can see much of it is about managing your emails. All right, so I'm going to close at a PowerPoint. By the way, you can get this PowerPoint presentation from the webinar platform. Now I'm going to minimize PowerPoint. And by the way, sometimes during this session, I'll make my mouse do that so you can find my mouse. Now there's a couple ways to go into Outlook. Sometimes you have an Outlook icon on your desktop. Sometimes you have the Outlook icon on your taskbar, like I do. Or sometimes you would use the Start menu. Either way is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Outlook icon on my taskbar. Now, sometimes when you go into Outlook, it may ask you to log on, and you would use your Microsoft account for that, usually your email address. So now, if you follow my mouse down here, here's the four main apps we'll be talking about today: the email, the calendar, the contacts, and the tasks. Now, if I pick on the three dots over here, then you can see there's the notes and folders and shortcuts. However, today we'll be concentrating on the email, the calendar, the contacts, and the tasks. So I'm going to go ahead and pick on the email app. And then I'm going to come up here and pick on the inbox. Now, by the way, if any of these folders have a number next to it, like that 444, that's the number of unread emails in that folder. It's not the number of emails in that folder, it's the number of unread emails that are in that folder. Now, if you notice down here, I have something on here that's called the reading pane. So let me turn the reading pane off, and I'll show you the benefit of having the reading pane. So I'm going to pick on the View menu, View. Then I'm going to come over here and pick on Layout, and then I'll pick on the word Reading Pane. I'm going to turn it off for right now. Now, you'll notice that I have the newest version of Outlook, and some of the screens have changed pretty recently. So if you have an older version, the screens will be fairly similar, but they may not be exactly the same as mine. They just changed it pretty recently, and I have the newest version of Outlook. So right now, the reading pane is not on. So now I have to double click on an email to read the email. I'm going to close that window. I can double click on an email to read it. I'm going to close that email. On the other hand, let me turn the reading pane on. So I'll pick on the View menu. I'll pick on Layout. And I'll pick on Reading Pane, and then I'll pick on the word Write to put it on the right side. So here's the reading pane over on the right. Now I just have to click an email, and then I'll be able to read it over here. I find that much more efficient. I can go through my emails quicker because of the reading pane. Now if you follow my mouse, see how I have this cross here, then I can just drag it back and forth to make it bigger or smaller. Let's see what it looks like when the reading pane is at the bottom. I'll pick on Layout, I'll pick on Reading Pane, and put it at the bottom. Good. Notice how the reading pane is now at the bottom. I'm going to move my mouse here, then I can adjust it. But I can just click on the email now, and then it shows up on the reading pane. It just helps me go through my emails a little bit quicker. So we picked on View, and then Layout, and then Reading Pane. And then you can decide if you want it on the right or the bottom, or if you want to turn it off. Now I'm going to adjust the size of that one more time. I'll make it a little bit smaller. So I'll pick this up and maybe drag it down a bit so I can see more of the emails. Now, if you notice my column headings, maybe in a previous session, I turned off the From, who is the person who sent the email. Well, watch how we can adjust the columns that you see. So I'm going to right click on one of the column headings. I'm going to right click on the word Subject, and then you pick on the word Field Chooser. And then you can actually pick and choose the fields that you want to display. So I see the word From there. Maybe in a previous session, I must have taken that off. So I'll pick up the word from and just drag it into my column headings over here. And now we see the from. And now I can adjust that like you might do in Excel. So watch what I did again. Anytime that you see these column headings in Outlook, you'll be able to do this. I'm going to right click on one of the column headings and I'll pick on the word field chooser. Then I can drag fields from here into the headers, or I can pick up one of those headers and drag it back to the field chooser to remove that field. And now I just moved the word from into there as well. Now that you have those headers, you can sort the emails on any of those headers. So if I pick on the word from, then that's going to sort it by who sent me the email. Now if I pick on the word from a second time, then it'll sort in reverse order. So the normal sort is pretty easy. You can just click on one of the headers and now sort it by the subject, for example. If I click on the word subject the second time, now sort it in reverse order by the subject. Let me go back to the from. Now let me show you a more advanced sort. Let's say you would like to sort by more than one field, so watch my screen. In this case, I'm going to pick on the View menu, and I'll pick on the pull down where it says Current View, and then I'll pick on View Settings. So I did View, Current View, and then View Settings. Good. I'm going to show you a couple great features about this window. So I'm going to pick on the word sort right there. And now you can see I can sort by up to 4 fields. So it's going to take it in the top-down order. So it'll sort this field, it's going to sort in the top-down order. So let's say I wanted it by the from, and then within the from, I want it by the received date. Now, even though Outlook has many fields, they have common sense names. So if I scroll down, I see when it's called received, that's really the received date. Most of them you can figure out. And now each one of those can be independently either ascending or descending. So for the from, I want an ascending, which is alphabetical order. For the received, I want it in descending order. So that means the newest ones for each person will be up top. I'm going to click OK, and then click OK again. So notice the ones that say Microsoft over here, then if I look at the received date, it has the newest ones for Microsoft at top. Let me scroll back to the top of the list here. So you see I have Chelsea there, and then for Chelsea, they're sorted by the newest to the oldest. So watch again how we do a multiple field sort. I'll pick on the View menu, and then Current View, and then View Settings. And then I picked on the word sort. And then you can have up to 4 sort fields. It's going to take it in the top-down order. Now, if I pick on Clear All, it'll put it back to the default sort, which is going to be the received date. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and then click OK again. And then now see how the newest ones are up top, going down from there. Now, let's do a search. So the search used to be over here on the right-hand side. Now the search is at the top of the window. So let's say I want to search for the emails with the word Microsoft in there. And it'll quickly find the emails that have the word Microsoft in the from or in the subject. Or if I scroll down, there's probably some that have the word Microsoft in the body of the email. And you can see it shows up in yellow there. This one probably has it in the body. If I click on this email, then yeah, see there's Microsoft. And then if I scroll down further on the email itself, we'll probably see Microsoft again. All right, so that was a quick search. Notice how the search is up here, where it used to be on the right-hand side of the screen on the older versions. Now they clear this, oh, by the way, if you click on that pull down, you'll see the history of your searches, or you can go a little bit further with the screen now. So they really enhanced this. So I can search in the current mailbox or in all mailboxes, and you see some other features there. I can search for the ones that have attachments or no attachments. Then I can search for just who sent me the email, that's the from. I can search in something in the body, in the received field, or actually this is when we received it, today, yesterday, this week. So right on this window, you have a lot of great ways to search the email. So see what I did? I clicked on that little pull down, and then you can search the current mailbox or all mailboxes. I can search for the emails with attachments or not. And then I can even search the attachments themselves for a certain word or phrase. I can search the from, the body. the received is when it was received. Today, yesterday, this week, last week, this month, last month, this year, and last year. And I can search the subject and the to. Notice how it says add more options. And now you can even search on different categories as well. So they really enhanced this quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and close this window. Now, if I want all of the emails to come back again, I'm going to click on the X, and now everything is back. Make sure you clear that search when you're done with it. Otherwise, you might think that you've lost the emails where really just the filter is on. Now, let me even show you how to go even further with the filter. So I'm going to pick on the View menu, and then I'll pick on Current View, and then View Settings again. Notice how it says the word filter here. So now you'll be able to do searches on many different features here. And within this screen, you can mix and match them and have as many as you wanted to. So if I pick on the messages, then this is where I can search for certain words. I can search for just the subject only or the frequently used text fields, for example. I can just search the from, which is who sent me the email, or the sent to. Now here's those time options again. If I click on the pull down where it says time, I can say received among other choices. And then I can receive yesterday, today, in the last 7 days, last week, and so on. So I like to see things that have been received in the last 7 days. And now if I click OK, you'll see I have some emails that have come in the past week or so. So one way to do an advanced search is come up here and pick on search, and then you click on that pull down. By the way, when I clicked on this search, it shows me my previous searches. And then I can come over here and click on the pull down. And then even there's some ways to make the search more advanced. But what I just did was I picked on the View menu, then I picked on Current View, then I picked on View Settings, and I picked on the word filter. Let's go a little bit further with this window. That was called the Received, as you can see. Now I am going to clear all here. And I'll start to go in with other opportunities here. So I'll pick on More Choices. Then here I can search the categories. I'll show you what the categories are pretty soon. We can search the emails that are read or unread. I can search the ones with attachments. I can search where the important is normal, high, or low. I can search the ones where I'm flagged. I'll talk about the flags in a few minutes. But on this window, here's the one that I really like, the size. So I'm going to click on this pull down. Now kilobytes means thousands, like 1,000 of characters. So I'm going to say greater than 100. If it's greater than 100,000, it's getting to be pretty big. So 100 here means 100 kilobytes, basically 100,000. So I'll click OK and click OK again. And notice how if I look at the size, I have a bunch of emails that are bigger than 100K. Usually it's the one with the attachments, by the way. But anyway, I have some emails that are bigger than 100K. So you might want to delete those or do something with those. So what I did was I picked on View, and then Current View, and then View Settings. And I'll pick on the word filter here. And then that was under the More Choices tab. You can see where I have the size. Now you could mix and match these as you wanted to in real life, but once again, I'll pick on the word Clear All. Good. Now let's go to the Advanced tab. Here you can put in multiple criteria at the same time. So in my case, I'm going to pick the field. And again, there's many fields in Outlook, but most of them have common sense names. So I want the from to contain the word Microsoft. I want it to be from Microsoft. Now notice how I'm going to pick on Add to the List. Good. And you can see that there. And then the whole purpose of this window is maybe you can add more than one criteria. You can really have as many as you wanted to. So then I'll say the subject is going to have the word, I'll pick on subject, contains the word billing. So this is the account that I get billed from Microsoft for Office 365. So I'll pick on Add to List again. I want the from to be Microsoft or contain the word Microsoft and the subject to contain the word billing. You can have as much criteria as you wanted to. And you can even mix and match those with the other tabs. So I'll click OK, and I'll click OK. Notice how the from has the word Microsoft and the subject has the word billing, and now it was able to limit those emails. Okay? So great ways to do a search here. You can use the search up here, and remember now the new screen has this pull down where you can even do an advanced search right there. But if you don't have that, then you can pick on the view menu and then current view and then view settings. Then I'll pick on the word filter, and then you can have the advanced filters here, the advanced searches. Now at this time, I'm going to go ahead and pick on clear all, and that'll get all of the emails back. Clear all. And I'll click OK. And then click OK again. And now everything is back. Now I do want to make sure that these are still sorted by the receive date. It looks like they're still sorted by the receive date. Now, another great one within that window is conditional formatting. Maybe you're used to doing conditional formatting in Microsoft Excel. Well, you can do conditional formatting in Outlook as well. So I'll pick on the View menu, I'll pick on Current View, and I'll pick on View Settings. And then we see conditional formatting. Okay. Now, there's already probably some categories there for you. So you can just check those or uncheck those as you need to. Now, I'm going to add a new one. In fact, I did Microsoft in a previous session. So I'll pick on the word Microsoft and delete that, and delete this one, and delete this one, so I can do those again. So I'll pick on the word add. Now, I do want to call it Microsoft. That's just an arbitrary name. Whatever you want to call it is fine. The font is going to be important. So I'll pick on the word font. And I'm going to go ahead and make it red if it's from Microsoft, and maybe bold. So I'll click OK. Now the important one is the condition. In other words, which emails do I want to mark as red? So I'm going to pick on condition. And now I'll say Microsoft here. And you can put in the multiple criteria like I just showed you a few minutes ago. In this case, I'll say anywhere in the frequently used text fields. If the word Microsoft appears anywhere in the frequently used text fields, then I want to make it red. So I'll click OK. And you can see exactly what that's going to look like. I'm going to click OK. And then click OK again. Notice the ones that are in red, have Microsoft either in the title or the subject or in the body. And there's a bunch of them. Okay? So let me show you conditional formatting one more time. I'll pick on the View menu, and then the Current View, and then View Settings, and we'll do conditional formatting. This time I'm going to add a new one. So let's say anything that is from the DoD. That's just the name of it. And then maybe these, I'll make them blue for the color. Make it bold. But the really important one is the condition. So if the word DoD appears anywhere in the frequently used text fields, then those are the ones that I want to make blue. So I'll click OK, click OK again, and click OK again. And now if I scroll through, let's see if we have any blue ones. Yeah, right over here. So they really stand out because of conditional formatting. Now once you turn that on, it'll be like that the next time until you turn it back off again. In fact, let me turn those off. So I'll pick on the View menu, and then Current View, and then View Settings. I'll pick on Conditional Formatting, and I can just uncheck those so they're not active anymore. Or of course I can delete them, but I'm just going to uncheck them so they're not active. I'll click OK, and then click OK again. And now notice how the colors are not there anymore. All right? So those are some great features under the View Settings screen. There's actually one more that people use. So sometimes you'll see the groups. Let me turn the groups on. So I'm going to go ahead and pick on the word from, which means we're going to sort it by the person who sent us the email. And I'll pick on Current View, and then View Settings, and then I'll pick on the word Group By. And I'll say automatically group it. That means whatever the sort field is, that's how it's going to group it. Or you can be very specific if you wanted to with the grouping. So I'll click OK, and now I'll click OK again. Now, if I scroll back up to the top, You see how this bar says Chelsea Faucet. So if I click on that arrow, it puts those away. Or if I click on that arrow again, it'll re-expand it. Now see how the DOD, it says it has 36 items in there. If I click on that pull down, it collapses that section. If I click on that pull down again, it re-expands that. So those are the groups. Some people like to see the groups. Some people don't like to see them. So if I wanted to turn those back off again, I'll pick on Current View, and then View Settings, and then I'll pick on Group By. I'm just going to uncheck that. In fact, I'll pick on Clear All, and now the group won't be there anymore. So some people like to have the groups, some people don't. Now you know how to turn those on or off. And you can see on this one that we did a few really good ones. We did the Group By. This is a way to do an advanced sort. Here's a way to do an advanced filter. And we even did a conditional formatting. So I'll click OK. And now everything is back to normal. So if I go back to my slides now for PowerPoint, so we talked about the sort and the advanced sort, the filter and the advanced filter, the group, the conditional formatting. So let's catch up with some of these slides here. So like I said, you can get this slide presentation from the webinar platform. So if you look here on slide 6, this is where I turned on or turned off the reading pane. And then there's the reading pane over here on the right-hand side. And then I'm going to scroll down a few more slides here. So here's the view and then the view settings. And then I showed you some of those great choices like sort, filter. There's the filter and the conditional formatting. So if you go through the presentation, you'll see a lot of these steps that I'm showing you. Good. So let's go back and do some more with our emails. So I'm going to go back into Outlook now. All right. Now, remember, you can click on any of those headings to sort by that column. So I'm going to click on the paperclip, and let's see how we're going to manage our attachments. So if somebody sends you an attachment, this is kind of an important one. So I'm going to click on that email that has the attachment. And then because I have this reading pane open, I can see the attachment right there. Now, these days, usually I can just click on that file, and it might show you a preview of that file. But you're not really looking at that. I mean, you're just looking at a temporary version of that file. So if I want to save that to my computer, this is what you would do. You would click on that pull down next to the attachment, and I'm going to save it onto my computer. And then you have a real copy of that file on your computer, and I'll pick on Save. Now, I already have that file there, which is fine. Now, once I've saved that file to the computer, I might want to get rid of the file from the actual email, because then it'll free up space in your inbox. Notice right now that that file is 69 KB, which is roughly 69,000. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that pull down for the attachment, and I'll remove the attachment. Remove the attachment there. And notice now it went down to, well, the file no longer has an attachment, but if I click on the received, it should be up there. Let's see. If you click on received, and it was going to be, well, I know that file got a lot smaller. Let's try it again. So I'm going to click on this email with the attachment. Now, here's a file. Here's one with multiple attachments. So watch how we're going to do multiple attachments. I can click on the pull down. Now I can save all attachments in one step. Instead of having to save each file individually, now this is a relatively new feature within the past year, a couple years. I can save all the attachments in one step. Here's something that's pretty new. We can actually upload those to OneDrive or to SharePoint. So that's something that's pretty new where it says upload. But I'm going to say save all attachments. I can save them all in one step, which is fine. I'll put them into my documents folder. Now, let's see how much smaller this email is going to get. Right now, I see that it's 696 kilobytes, which is getting to be pretty big. Now, this time, I'm going to hold down my Shift key and select all of the attachments. See how they're all selected right now? Now, I'm going to click on that pull down, and I'll say remove the attachment. We'll remove them, but it's going to remove them all. And now notice how the number went down to 401 kilobytes. So it got a lot smaller. So I just showed you how you can save all the files in one step to your computer, and then we were able to remove all the attachments from the email, and then the email itself became a lot smaller. So I wanted to make sure we saw how to manage the attachments that people send to you. Now, another important one that people like to see is being able to do follow-up on the email. So I have a very simple system for the follow-ups. I use the flags over here. So if you move your mouse over to that flag column, I can just click on that little flag, and then that tells me I have to do something with that email. So I can just flag these. And then what I would do maybe the next day or at the end of the week, I'll click on the flag at the top of the column. So all the ones that need follow-up are right there for me. Okay, so that just kind of reminds me I have to do something with that email. Now also when you flag them, guess what? It also puts them in the tasks area over here. So if I pick on the tasks, anything that you might have used the flag on is going to show up on your tasks as well. So that's how those two screens tie together. Now I'm going to come over, let's go back to the email. Okay. Now some people will right click on that flag and then use the different colors. However, to me, they're not really different enough. Like one says tomorrow and next week, but they're not really different enough to distinguish those. So what I might do is I might add a reminder. Then I can make it remind me when I need to follow up with that email. So I'll pick on add a reminder. And then let's say I'm going to make this one happen at the end of today's class, just to kind of remind me to start wrapping up. So I'll put it for the 11th, and I'll put it for 11:55 a.m. So that should come up at that appropriate time, and then it'll remind me to start wrapping up. All right, so that's how I use the flags. Some people like to right click on that flag and use the different colors. However, they didn't really make them different enough. So I just use the top one, and then I pick an add reminder, and then, I put the appropriate time when I'm supposed to do something with that email. All right, so that's the way I use that system. By the way, when I'm done with that, I'm going to right click on that flag, and I'll mark it as complete. And then if I scroll down further, you'll see the ones that have been marked complete. This way I know I've done something with those, all right? So that's how I use the flags to help me follow up with those emails, and then I'll set the reminder as well. When I'm done with that, I'll mark it complete, all right? Or even clear the flag if I'm done with it. And by the way, if you're in the tasks and mark it complete there, it'll mark it complete here in the email. So those two programs, those two apps work together in a nice way. Now, we always have our folders over here. So the folders are going to be ways to categorize the emails. Let me quickly show you how to add new folders and even how to add them into your favorites. Now, there's numerous ways to add your folders, but here's what I do. I'm just going to right click on my email address, right click, and then we'll just say new folder. And let's say I have a folder that'll be called for webinars. And then that was very quick and easy. So I could just right click on my email address and add a new folder. You could have as many as you wanted to. Now, if you want to add a subfolder, so I'll just right click on the for webinars and then add a new folder there. So maybe I have, Outlook webinars. And then notice how you can tell it's indented. So you can layer the folders. All I did was I right clicked on the for webinars and I said new folder, and maybe I have some for Word as well. Okay? Now, what if I wanted that to be among the favorites? The favorites are up here, and the favorites are always up at the top there. Whereas with these folders down here, I have to scroll up and down to really see them all. So I'm going to right click where it says for webinars, and then I'll pick on add to the favorites. And then you can see how the webinars is up on the favorites. All right. Now, to move an email to a folder, you just pick up an email and just drag it right into there. No problem. Or, of course, you can select multiple emails and just drag them right into an appropriate folder. Or you can also right-click on an email and then pick on Move and move it to the folders here. So either way is perfectly fine. And there's other ways to move things to a folder as well. Now, that brings me to a great topic. What if you want Outlook to automatically handle your emails for you? Then we can set up rules. So watch how we're going to set up rules, everybody. Let me go ahead and click on the received column once again to sort it by the received date. I'm going to scroll back up to the top of these, and we start to see the newer emails. Now, in this case, I'm going to go ahead and let's see. I'm going to go ahead and let's see. All right, so I see some from Microsoft. Let me make a new folder that's called Microsoft. So I'm just going to right-click on my email address. I'll do a new folder, and I'll call it Microsoft. So I want anything that says Microsoft 365 to be moved to that folder automatically. Watch how we set up a rule. Typically, I'm going to right-click on the email that I want to manage. Right-click, and then you see the word rules here. There's another way to get to a rule as well, but this is what I usually do. I'm going to right-click on an email that already has the qualifications that I need, and I'll pick on the word rules, and I'll pick on create a rule. All right. Now, on this window, it'll have some basic qualifications here, which you can certainly use. But let me show you how to go a lot further with this window. I'm going to come over here and pick on Advanced Options. Then you'll have many more choices. Okay. So now this is the emails that you want to do something with. So I'm going to say the from is Microsoft 365 Message Center. And then there's many other qualifiers for that as well. And you can pick as many of those that would fit. But that's the one I want. I'll pick on Next. Now, this is what do you want to do with that email? Well, if I move it to that folder, it'll take it away from the inbox and just move it to that folder. So what I'll really do is maybe move a copy to that folder. So this way it'll keep it in my inbox and it'll be in that folder as well. Now, when I say move a copy to the specified folder, then you have to come down here and pick which folder you're going to move it to. So I'll pick on the word specified, and then I'll pick on the Microsoft folder. So I'm telling it what to do with those emails, right? I'll click OK. And then you can really pick as many of those actions as you need. I'm going to pick on Next. Now you can even add exceptions. So you can say, do that action except when such and such is true. I don't need any exceptions right now, but you could add them in there. So I'll pick on Next. And then what I'll usually do is run this rule for messages that are already in the inbox, and I'll turn the rule on. That means as new messages come in that meet those qualifications, it'll be handled that way, but also any existing emails will be handled that way as well. So I'm going to pick on the word finish, and it's actually starting to run that rule. Now you see that number over here, that's the number of unread messages. Not the number of messages, it's the number of unread messages in that folder, and you can see it grew by quite a bit. All right? So typically that's how I set up the rules. I'm going to right-click on the email, pick on the word rules, and then I picked on create a rule. Now another thing you can do is once you're in the email application, you can pick on the home menu. Then you come over here and you pick on the three dots to the right, and then you see the word rules is there as well. So on the newer version of Outlook, you pick on the home menu and you pick on those three dots over there, and you'll see some pretty good choices. All right, so make sure you pay attention to that as well. In fact, here, notice how on the normal home menu, I have the classic reply and reply to all and forward. And then if you want more choices, you can either right-click on that email, and you'll see some more choices to do with that email, or follow my mouse again. I'll pick on those three dots. And then here, this is where you can manage if you're looking for the junk folder, here's where you can manage what's going to be in that junk folder, the junk email option. So they move that one. There's the rules. Now look, here's a couple of really nice choices. I can respond with a meeting. So in other words, let's say an email, just by reading it, you can tell it's going to need a meeting. So I'm going to reply with a meeting, and then it starts this whole new window, which you would usually get from your calendar, right? And then you can invite people into that meeting, and then it'll add it to your calendar, into their calendar as well. So that was a nice choice. Watch how we got to that. I'll pick on the home menu, and you pick on the three dots, and you can say reply or respond with a meeting. Here it also says reply with an IM, reply all with an IM, like immediate message, forward as an attachment, even call is there. All right, so make sure you see those three dots. Now, by the way, here's another quick way I can start a meeting from this email. I can pick up this meeting, pick up the email, and drag it into my calendar down here. You see what I'm doing? And now guess what? That starts this screen, which is really going to basically put this event on your calendar. So that's how the apps can really work together. And you'll see other examples of the apps working together as well. But watch what I just said. I can pick up that email and I can drag it into the calendar down here, and then that'll put a calendar event on your calendar. Even here, I can invite attendees. That means they're going to receive emails, and that'll add it to their calendar as well. Notice how even from Outlook, I can start a Teams meeting now. So notice how they're integrating Teams at this time. So I'm going to close this window. But remember, I can pick on those three dots, and I can say respond with a meeting, and that brings you to that other window as well. Now, another thing I can do with the email is add it to my tasks. Now, if you flag it over here, it'll add it to your tasks. Or another way is you can pick up the email and drag it into the task app down here, you see? And then it makes a task out of that email. So the apps really do work together once you see these windows. Now, let me show you how we can quickly add a contact from the email directly into the contacts. So I'm going to click on one of my emails. And then you look for an email address down here. Of course, I have the reading pen open. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click on that email address. And then I can say Add to Outlook Contacts. And then it just added that contact into your contacts. So the apps really do work together in a very nice way, as you can see. It tries to inherit as much information as it can from the email. Usually it'll pick up the name and the email address, but sometimes you'll get even other information. And I'll pick on Save. Now it tells me that one's already in there. It's not the same name as something else. It's the same email address. That's how it knows it's a duplicate. The email address will be the duplicate. So I'll pick on Update. Good. So let's try a different one. If I scroll down, let's try this one. See, there's an email address. I'm going to right-click on it, and I'll say Add to Outlook Contacts. And then it'll fill in whatever it can. And I'll pick on Save and Close. And now that one is in my contacts as well. So I just showed you a bunch of ways how the Microsoft apps can really work together. Now, another great way to classify your emails is the categories. The categories over here are going to give it a color code. And a lot of people like to use the categories. But what I like about the categories is you can use the same categories in the email that you do for the calendar and for the tasks and for the contacts. So let's say I'm going to right-click on this area where it says categories for the email. Now, when you do this, you'll probably have some that came with it. You'll have some that are called the orange category and the green category and so forth. So here's how you're going to make up your own categories. You come down here and you pick on all categories. And then you'll be able to make new ones or rename them or delete them or give them a different color. So I'm going to pick on new, and let's say I'm going to call this one for webinars. And then you would pick a color. And I'll click OK. Now, this email will be part of that category. However, it can be more than part of one category as well. I'll pick an OK. And you see that green color there. In fact, you can sort by the categories. If I pick on categories there, then all the ones with the same color are now going to be together. Let's try that again. So all the ones that you've color-coded with the categories would now be lumped. Oh, there's some, okay? So that's the whole purpose of those categories. You kind of color code things. But I like it that the same categories can be used for the calendar and for the contacts and the emails and for the tasks. I'm just going to right click there. You can pick one of these, or if you want to see the complete list, you pick on all categories. From here, we can add new ones, rename them, delete them, change the color, and so forth. Okay? Now, I showed you the rules, which are great. They're going to automatically handle the emails. But let me show you something that's called the quick steps. So the quick steps are kind of built right in, and they'll give you some ways to quickly handle emails as well. So let's go back and sort it. Oh, look what happened. It automatically added that group. When I sorted it by the category, it automatically grouped it by the category, as you can see. So if I don't want that group to be there anymore, remember what I showed you before, I'll pick on the View menu. Then I'll pick on Current View, and then View Settings. And I'll pick on the word Group By. I'm going to say Clear All. I'll click OK. And then I'll click OK again. And now it's no longer grouped. So sometimes those groups happen automatically, but you can turn it off or turn it on as you need to. I'm going to sort it back by the receive date once again. And let me go back to the top here. And now we see the newest ones are up at the top. Good. So now let me show you something that's called the quick steps. I'm going to go back to the home menu here. Now there's some quick steps that are built right in, and you can also make up your own. So follow my mouse over here. If I click on this pull down, we see the quick steps. So I can mark it as urgent. I can reply and delete. So you'll see some quick steps that are built right in, but you can make up your own. So I'm going to say new quick step, and I'll pick in the word custom. This means I can make up my own. Good. So I'm going to call this one, let's say I want to do a reply and delete. I'll just show you that one as an example. And then the quick step can have as many actions as you want. So first of all, I'll say I wanted to reply to that email, and then it'll reply to the person who sent it to you, okay? And then I'll add another action, and let's say I want to, in fact, let's call this one forward and delete. I want to forward that to somebody else. So I'll say forward and delete. Make it a forward. Then I'm going to forward it to maybe somebody else on the team, maybe the manager or something like that. Okay? So then once I forward it, I don't need to do anything with that. So I want to get rid of it from my list. So I'll pick on delete message. And you can keep on adding as many actions as you wanted to. So I'll pick on finish there. Okay. So watch the benefit of these. So let's say with this message, that doesn't really apply to me. So I'm just going to pick on the email, click on the pull down for the quick steps, and I'll pick on forward and delete. And now it did forward that email to that person. I'm going to send it. And now guess what? It deleted that email from my list. Another way you can get to the quick steps is to right click on the email, and then you see the quick steps right there, and then you can pick which one that you wanted to. Of course, you can make new ones as well. So I showed you the rules. The rules automatically handle the emails, and then what you can also do is put in the quick steps. So then that's a quick way to manage emails as well. So hopefully you're getting some great ideas on how to manage your emails. Now, let's say after a while, you want the emails to be archived automatically. So one thing you can do is you can just right click on an email, and then you can pick on the word archive. So you would do the email individually. Basically, the archive is going to be a different file on your computer than your main Outlook file, and that'll free up your main Outlook file. But let me show you how you can set it up to automatically archive. So in this case, I'm going to pick on the home menu again. So just follow my mouse over here, and we see this icon right here, assign to policy. So we can make it automatically delete after 1 month, 1 week, 1 year, 5 years, 6 months. So you see, this way you don't even have to worry about it. So let's say I want that email to disappear after, let's say that one needs to be gone after 1 month. So I just clicked on that email, I picked the retention policy, and then you pick which one that you want there, all right? And then it'll happen automatically for you. And by the way, if I want to archive something manually, I just right click on it and then pick on the word archive there. And then that one just archived as well. All right. So your archive is going to be like a different folder. So if I come over here to the left-hand side, notice how I can pick on the archive and then go back to that. But it actually takes it away from your main Outlook folder and puts it into the archive. So it's a different Outlook file on your computer. All right. So these are all great ways to manage your emails. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about managing your calendar. So in this case, I'm going to click on the calendar app at the bottom. Okay. Now, take a look at my calendar, everybody. First of all, see how it has my township over here. And then, so I'm sure if you click on that pull down, you can add a location for the calendar, for your location. And then I want to show you different ways to manage this screen. So notice how I can pick on the next 7 days. So that started on the 11th and it goes to the 17th. I can pick on the work week. Notice that my work week includes Monday through Friday. So you can change that if you wanted to. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. I can pick on the week view. The week view starts from Monday to Sunday, whereas the work week didn't include the weekends. And then I can look at the entire month. Right, the entire month is there. Now you see these ones in blue, St. Patrick's Day and Easter. Well, I'll show you how to turn the holidays on in just a second within our settings. But notice that you have different views for the calendar. The day, week, work week, and so forth. The next 7 days. And the next 7 days will start with today's date. Now, I can use these arrows. If I pick on the work week, I can use these arrows to go to the next week and the next week and so forth. Or I can use these arrows over here to go to the next month and so forth in the previous month. Now, as you go through the next weeks and the previous weeks and all that, if I want to return back today's date, I'll pick in the word today right there. And now you can see I'm back on today's date. Once again, notice how now on Outlook, it'll say new Teams meeting. So about a year ago, it would say new Skype meeting. But Skype is really becoming Teams at this point. So now it says new Teams meeting. Okay. So now, also notice how on my screen, I have 3 different time zones. I have Eastern time, Central time, and Pacific time. So let me show you how you can set up your calendar so you can decide what your work week is going to be, what your first day of the regular week is going to be, and maybe how you can have separate time zones like that. What you do is you go back into your options for Outlook. So I'll pick on the File menu, and I'll pick on Options, File Options. Now there's many, many options in Outlook. So when you have the chance, you should go through some of these to set up your Outlook environment. But I'm going to pick on the word calendar. So notice how I have my start time and my end time. So that'll show up on your calendar. And then notice how here's where I can set up my work week. So mine really is Monday through Friday, but you can make yours to be something different. And then also the first day of my week is Monday. Maybe some of you have it as Sunday or Tuesday, whatever it's going to be. So those are important choices. Now I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I like this one a lot. The default reminder, mine is for 15 minutes. That means every time I add a calendar event, then 15 minutes before that, it's going to remind me. So I like that one, although you can make it be different time frames, as you can say. Now, remember how I showed you St. Patrick's Day and Easter, and they showed up on my calendar? That's because previously I picked where it says Add Holidays. So if I pick on Add Holidays, then you can pick which country that you're located in, and then it'll add the bank holidays onto your calendar for that country. So that's something that you might want to do. Here under the calendar options, I picked on Add Holidays, and then it puts those holidays on the calendar for you. You can put other countries on there as well. I'm going to scroll down further. Okay, here is where I have my time zones. So usually you'll just have the first time zone over here. Now you see where it says label? That's what's going to show up at the top of that time zone. So there's EST and there's the EST there. But then you have to tell what time zone that really is. That's Eastern. But then notice how I can show a second time zone and even a third time zone. So I kind of like that. This way, if I'm talking to somebody on the West Coast, then I can say, oh, well, that meeting is going to be 8 a.m. your time. And then I really know that's 11 a.m. my time. It's right into that. So that's all part of the calendar options. If I scroll down further, you can even show the weather. So I'm going to uncheck the weather and turn it back on again. And I'm going to click OK. So all of this is under the calendar, okay? So if I click on the home menu for the calendar, then we see, if I pick on work week, I did do Monday through Friday. If I pick on week there, then it goes Monday to Sunday. It includes the weekends as well, all right? If I click on the pull down for my location, then I'll pick on, that's my township, all right? So then here's another way to change the view as well. All right. So looking good, everybody. And then you see my 3 time zones. Now let's see how we're going to set up a meeting here on the calendar. So I do it like this. I'm going to highlight some time. So let's say tomorrow I have a staff meeting that starts at 1 o'clock. I'm just going to highlight from 1 to 2, right on, Friday's date. And then I'll just pick on new appointment here. Now, a new appointment is going to show up on your calendar only. If you want to invite other people in, then you make it a new meeting. So that's one of those that would add it to your calendar and send an email to other people, and then it would add it to their calendar as well. Notice over here, we can meet right now. What does that mean? That means have a Teams meeting immediately, or this is where we can schedule a Teams meeting. By the way, if you use Microsoft Teams, then you can schedule the meeting in Microsoft Teams and it'll show up in Outlook. So those apps now tie together. But in this case, I'll pick on a new appointment. And let's say we're going to have a staff meeting. And notice how, because I highlight the times on my calendar, it shows up here, although I can change the times there as well. And then if you notice, there's lots of things you can do to that calendar event. But another thing I can do here is I can choose those categories. So let's say it says for my staff here. So it's going to use the same categories that we set up for the email earlier. And now see how the green color is there. But if I pick on save and close, then the green color shows up on the calendar. So I like those categories. First of all, it uses the same categories between the email app, the calendar app, the contacts, and the tasks. And it helps you color code things on your calendar. Now, what if the staff meeting gets changed from 1 to 2? I can just pick it up and drag it to a different time or even to a different date. Then let me show you something that's called a recurring calendar event. So in this case, let's say every Monday you have a team meeting. So I'm going to highlight Monday's date at 1 o'clock, and I'll pick on a new appointment again. So I'm going to call this one team meeting. I'll even color code this one. So I have for my team. Okay. Now look what it says. I can make it recurring right over here. So I'll pick on make recurring. So I can make it daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly. So if I pick on weekly, I could even make it more than one day. Maybe it's Monday and Wednesday. You can pick as many days as you wanted to there. But a really interesting one is monthly. If I pick on monthly, then I can say it's the 15th day of every month, or it's the 3rd Monday of every month, or I can say the last Monday, or the last Friday, whatever it might be. So when you pick on monthly, I can say it's a certain, like the 15th of every month, or it's the 3rd Monday, or any of those choices. So you get those choices when you pick on monthly over here. And then yearly, will be things that happen once a year, like anniversary dates or hire dates and things like this. So, or renewal dates. But I'll make it this one weekly, and I'll put it on Monday. Now, let's say if that ends on a certain date, then you'll put the end date here. Or it can end after so many occurrences. Or if you say no end date there, it'll just go way back into the future, and it'll still be there years and years in the future. Now look, everybody, there's that reminder that I set up. And you can see at this point it is 11:55. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping up. But that was a good reminder. I want that to come up again in 5 minutes, so I'm going to snooze it. Notice how you can snooze it for different times. So I'm going to click OK here. And then, that reminder was fine for the 5 minutes. So in this case, we made it a recurring meeting. I'm going to go ahead and save and close that. Now there's that reminder. So I'm going to snooze it. But notice how you can snooze it for multiple different times. I'll say 5 minutes and snooze it. Now look over, there's that staff meeting, right? But if I go next week, we'll see the staff meeting, and it's going to be there at 1 o'clock. Now check this out. I'm going to go months and months into the future. I'm already in 2022. I'm already in 2023. And then you're going to see, oh, maybe in that case, I just had an ending date. So let me go back to today's date. I'll pick in the word today there. So I see that is going to be there on next week. So there's that staff meeting. Let's see. So I might have put an ending date on that one. But you can see I'm weeks and weeks ahead, and it's still there. Let's see if maybe I have an ending date on that one. That one does have an ending date of August 31st, I think I picked. All right. But you can see it's there for weeks and weeks. Let me go back and pick on today's date. Anyway, that's called a recurring meeting. You can also tell it's a recurring meeting because on the calendar event itself, you see that little circle that indicates a recurring meeting. So let's say I want to move this one to 2 o'clock. I can pick up that one and move it to 2 o'clock. No problem. But the other ones are still at 1. Now, if I want to change or delete that recurring meeting, then I can double click on it. And it's going to ask me if I want to change just that one or all of them for the entire series because it's a recurring meeting. So I'll change the entire series, and maybe I'll make them all blue instead of red, or green instead of red, whatever, right? Whatever change I'm going to make. In fact, let me take off the red category. And I'll pick on Save and Close. And now they're all green instead of red. Now, if I want to delete that, again, I'll right-click on it and pick on Delete. And it says, do I want to delete just that one or the entire series? And that comes up because it's a recurring appointment. So I'll pick on Delete the series. Good. So I wanted to make sure we covered many ways to handle your emails, which I showed you. And then I wanted to cover some things about the calendar as well. And this way, you have some great ways to be very, very productive in Microsoft Outlook. Now, let me just check my list here. Let me go back to the original PowerPoint. And you'll see a lot of these steps that I covered are within the PowerPoint. Let me just see here, just to make sure I cover the important ones. I showed you how to reply with that meeting. I showed you how to do the quick steps, right, where you can set up your own replies and different things you want to do. We talked about the auto archive. When I have drag and drop here, remember how I picked up the email event and dragged it to either my calendar or my tasks directly? So I showed you how to work with that. And then I showed you how the tasks and the emails can work together, either by dragging the email into the task or by flagging that email. And then it becomes part of the tasks. We talked about the conditional formatting and all of those. So it looks like I covered everything I wanted to cover in today's course. Now, at this time, we're going to go ahead and open up for questions. So if you have any questions, you can let the host know, and we're going to be able to handle those at this time. So now let's open up for questions.